This is going to be a reading from the Consumer Protection Act 1986. And it's going to be kind of hard to read, but I'm going to go through it. An act to provide for the better protection of the interests of consumers and for that purpose to make provision for the establishment of consumer councils and other authorities for the settlement of consumers disputes and for matters connected therewith, be it enacted by Parliament in the 37th year of the Republic of India as follows. Chapter 1, Preliminary. Short title, Extent, Commencement, and Application. 1. This act may be called the Consumer Protection Act 1986. 2. It extends to the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. 3. It shall come into force on such date as the central government may, by notification, appoint, and different dates may be appointed for different states and for different provisions of this act. 4. Save as otherwise expressly provided by the central government by notification. This act shall apply to all goods and services. Definitions. 2. 1. In this act, unless the context otherwise requires, a appropriate laboratory means a laboratory or organization. One, recognized by the central government. 2, or recognized by the state government, subject to such guidelines as may be prescribed by the central government in this behalf, or or 3, any such laboratory or organization established by or under any law for the time being in force, which is maintained, financed, and aided by the central government or a state government for carrying out analysis or tests of any goods with a view to determining whether such goods suffer from any defect. 8. Branch office means 1. Substituted by the Consumer Protection Amendment Act 1993, WEF 18/6/1933, if I'm seeing it right. 2. Inserted, IBIT 15/4/1987, Chapter 1, 2, and 4. Any establishment described as a branch by the opposite party, or or 2, any establishment carrying on either the same or substantially the same activity as that carried on by the head office of the establishment. B. Complaint means a consumer, or any voluntary consumer association registered under the Companies Act 1856, 1 of 1856, or under any other law for the time being in force, or or 3, the central government or any state government. 4, one or more consumers, where there are numerous consumers having the same interest. Who or which makes a complaint. C. Complaint means any allegation in writing made by the complainant that an unfair trade practice or a restrictive trade practice have been adopted by any trader. Or 2, the goods bought by him or agreed to be bought by him suffer from one or more defects. 3. The service hired or availed of or agreed to be hired or availed by him suffer from deficiency in any respects. 4. A trader has charged for the goods mentioned in the complaint a price in excess of the price fixed by or under any law for the time being in force or displayed on the goods or any package containing such goods. 5. Goods which will be hazardous to life and safety when used or being offered for safe to be public in contravention of the provisions of any law for the time being in force requiring traders to display information in regard to the contents, manner, and effect of use of such goods, with a view to obtaining any relief provided by or under this act. D. Consumer means any person who, one or I, buys any goods for the consideration which has been paid or promised or partly paid or partly promised or under any system or deferred payment, and includes any user of such goods other than the person who buys such goods for consideration paid or promised or partly paid or partly paid or partly promised or under any system or deferred payment. 1. Inserted by the Consumer Protection Amendment Act 1993, WEF 18-6, 1993. Substituted IBIT. 3. Substituted for the goods mentioned in the complaint, IBIT. 4. Substituted for the services mentioned in the complaint, IBIT. 5. Inserted IBIT. When such use is made with the approval of such person, but does not include a person who obtains such goods for resale or for any commercial purpose, or II hires or avails of any services for a consideration which has been paid or promised or partly paid and partly promised or under any system of deferred payment, and includes any beneficiary of such services other than the person who hires or avails of the services for consideration paid or promised or partly paid and partly promised or under any system of deferred payment when such services are availed of with the approval of the first mentioned person. Explanation: for the purposes of subclause 1, commercial purposes does not include use by a consumer of goods bought and used by him exclusively for the purpose of earning his livelihood by means of self-employment. E. Consumer dispute means a dispute where the person against whom a complaint has been made denies or disputes the allegations contained in the complaint. F. Defect means any fault, imperfection, or shortcoming in the quality, quantity, potency, purity, or standard which is required to be maintained by or under any law for the time being in force or under any contract express or implied, or as is claimed by the trader in any manner whatsoever in relation to any goods. G. Deficiency means any fault, imperfection, shortcomings, or inadequacy in the quality, nature, and manner of performance which is required to be maintained by or under any law for the time being in force and has been undertaken to be performed by a person in pursuance of the contract or otherwise in relation to any service. H. District forum means a consumer dispute redressal forum established under Clause A of Section 9. I. Goods means goods as defined in the Sales of Goods Act 1930, 3 of 1930. J. Manufacturer means a person who or one makes and manufactures any goods or parts thereof, or or two does not make or manufacture any goods but assembles parts thereof made or manufactured by others and claims the end product to be goods manufactured by him, or III, puts or causes to be put his own mark on any goods made or manufactured by any other manufacturer and claims such goods to be goods made or manufactured by him. Explanation: where a manufacturer dispatches any goods or part thereof to any branch office maintained by him, such branch office shall not be deemed to be the manufacturer, even though the parts, one, inserted by the Consumer Protection Amendment Act 1993, WEF 186, 1993, Consumer Protection Act 1986, so dispatched to it or assembled at such branch office and are sold or distributed from such branch office. Look like JJ. Member includes the president and a member of the National Commission or a state commission or a district forum, as the case may be. K. National Commission means the National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission established under Clause C of Section 9. L. Notification means a notification published in the official gazette. M. Person includes I or one, a firm, whether registered or not. A Hindu undivided family. 3. A cooperative society. 4. Every other association of persons, whether registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860, 21 of 1860 or not. N. Prescribed means prescribed by rules made by the state government or, as the case may be, by the central government under this act. N. Restrictive trade practice means any trade practice which requires a consumer to buy, hire, or avail of any goods or, as the case may be, services as a condition precedent by buying, hiring, or availing of other goods or services. O. Service means service of any description which is made available to potential users and includes the provisions of faculties in connection with banking, financing, insurance, transport, processing, supply of electrical or other energy, board or lodging or both, housing, construction, entertainment, amusement, or the purveying of news or other information, but does not include the rendering of any service free of charge or under the contract of personal service. P. State Commission means a consumer dispute redressal commission established in the state under Clause B of Section 9. Q. Trader in relation to any goods means a person who sells or distributes any goods for sale and include the manufacturer, thereof, and when such goods are so disputed in package form includes the packer thereof. Or unfair trade practice means a trade practice which, for the purpose of promoting the sale, use, or supply of any goods, or for the provisions of any service, adopts any unfair method or unfair or deceptive practice, including any of the following practices, namely: 1. The practice of making any statement, whether orally or in writing or by visible representation, which one falsely represents that the goods are of a particular standard, quality, quantity, grade, composition, style, or model. 2 falsely represents that the services are of a particular standard, quality, or grade. 1. Inserted by the Consumer Protection Amendment Act 1993, WEF 18-6, 1993, substituted III 3 falsely represents any rebuilt, secondhand, renovate, reconditioned, or old goods as new goods. 4 represents that the goods or services have sponsorship, approval, performance, characteristics, accessories, uses, or benefits which such goods or services do not have. 5 represents that the seller or the supplier has a sponsorship or approval or affiliation which such seller or supplier does not have. 6 makes a false or misleading representation concerning the need for or the usefulness of any goods or services. 7 gives to the public any warranty or guarantee of the performance, efficacy, or length of life of a product or of any goods that is not based on an adequate or proper test thereof, provided that where a defense is raised to the effect that such warranty or guarantee is based on adequate or proper test, the burden of proof of such defense shall lie on the person raising such defense. 7 makes to the public a representation in a form that purports to be 1. a warranty or guarantee of a product or of any goods or services, or I think is 2 or a promise to replace, maintain, or repair an article or any part thereof, or to repeat or continue a service until it has achieved the specified result. If such purported warranty or guarantee or promise is materially misleading, or if there is no reasonable prospect that such warranty, guarantee, or promise will be carried out, and this is 9, materially misleading the public concerning the price at which the product or like products or goods and services have been or are ordinarily sold or provided, and for the purpose of representation as to price shall be deemed to be referred to the price at which the product or goods or services has or have been sold by sellers or provided by suppliers, generally in the relevant market, unless it is clearly specified to be the price at which the product has been sold or services have been provided by the person by whom or on whose behalf the representation is made. 10. Gives false or misleading facts disparaging the goods, services, or trade of another person. Explanation: for the purpose of cause 1, the statement that is A. expressed on an article of offered or displayed for sale, or on its wrapper or container, or B. expressed on anything attached to, inserted in, or accompanying an article offered or displayed for sale, or on anything on which the article is mounted for display or sale, or C. contained in or on anything that is sold, sent, delivered, transmitted, or in any other manner whatsoever made available to the member of the public, shall be deemed to be a statement made by the public by and only by the person who had caused the statement to be so expressed, made, or contained. 2. Permits the publication of any advertisement, whether in any newspaper or otherwise, for the sale or supply at the bargain price of goods or services that are not intended to be offered for sale or supply at the bargain price, or for a period that is, and in quantities that are reasonable, having regard to the nature of the market in which the business is carried on, the nature and size of business, and the nature of the advertisement. Explanation: for the purposes of clause 2, bargaining price means a price that is stated in any advertisement to be a bargain price by reference to an ordinary price or otherwise, or B, a price that a person who reads, hears, or sees the advertisement would reasonably understand to be a bargain price, having regard to the prices at which the product advertised or like products are ordinarily sold. 3. Permits: 8. The offering of gifts, prizes, or other items with the intention of not providing them as offered, or creating impression that something is being given or offered free of charge when it is fully or partly covered by the amount charged in the transaction as a whole. B. The conduct of any contest, lottery, game of chance, or skill for the purpose of promoting directly or indirectly the sale, use, or supply of any product or any business interest. 4. Permits the sale or supply of goods intended to be used or are of a kind likely to be used by consumers, knowing or having reason to believe that the goods do not comply with the standards prescribed by competent authority relating to performance, competition, contents, design, constructions, finishing, or packaging, as are necessary to prevent or reduce the risk of injury to the person using the goods. 5. Permits the hoarding or destruction of goods, or refusing to sell the goods, or to make them available for sale, or to provide any service if such hoarding or destruction or refusal raises or tends to raise or is intended to raise the cost of those or other similar goods or services. 2. Any reference in this act any reference in this act to any other act or provisions thereof which is not in force in any area to which this act applies shall be construed to have a reference to the corresponding act or provision thereof in force in such area. Act not in derogation of any other law. 3. The provisions of this act shall be in addition to and not in derogation of the provisions of any other law for the time being in force. Chapter 2. Consumer Protection Council, whenever we come back. Consumer Protection Council, whenever we come back.